Hello everyone, just Gord here and welcome back to another Planet Zoo real life inspiration video. And today we are looking at the smallest bear in the world with the longest tongue. It is potentially a man in a suit. I am of course talking about the sun bear. To my surprise, not a very common species, only 4 habitats to look at. Let's start right away with Tierpark Berlin. We are walking up to this wonderful building and there's this huge habitat which I'm not sure what it's for. It's empty at the moment. I feel like it could have something to do with the sun bear because it is adjacent to the indoor area of the sun bear, which we can see over here. And I absolutely love this enclosure so much. It looks just super cool with the rock wall in the background and the lushness inside, actual grass and trees in this indoor area. It's super cool. And here we can also see the animal that the sun bear shared a habitat with. And there's 2 binturong sleeping on the rock wall in the background there. So yeah, super awesome indoor area. As we keep making our way through the building, which by the way is called the Alfred Bremhaus, you see it on the building right here. As we come out the other side and make our way around the building, we can see the indoor was right inside there with a wavy roof, and here we have a view of the outdoor enclosure. We still have awesome rock walls right here. The bamboo being planted up against the fence on all sides makes the enclosure look super lush and just really quite beautiful. And that's one of the 2 viewing areas. As we make our way around all this bamboo, we'll get to the other one over here. You can see there's a bit of a climbing frame right there as well. Yeah, just a really nice enclosure. I really like the look of this one. The whole area around the Alfred Bremhaus feels super modern, even though the house itself is already quite old. So yeah, just a really awesome area right there and a great enclosure for the sun bear. Next up we have Burger Zoo, and we are in the Rimba part of the zoo. And the first enclosure that you encounter here is the sun bear enclosure right here. We can see there's a little waterfall dripping down and multiple tiers to this habitat, and the terrain sloping up into the back where there's this beautiful faux rock wall. It's just so freaking beautiful. Here you can see that they did at some point change out the climbing frame a little bit. The reason for that was that the sun bear didn't really get along anymore with the binturong in their enclosure, so they had to separate them by creating a climbing frame just for the binturong and then separate climbing frames for the sun bear. But yeah, they do still somewhat share the space with the binturong in spirit. It is kind of a combined ecosystem in that sense. Over here you can also see some shelters that they made for the bears, including this hollowed out log, which isn't all that big, but still the sun bears are of course quite small, so they can fit in there easily. And then yeah, as we go to the left here, there is the indoor area for the sun bear. You've got some benches where you can sit down and enjoy a view of them. But yeah, here they also have a bunch of climbing frames. And of course there's more backstage in the actual back of this, so they can also get away from the guests if they want to. But yeah, that's it for Burger Zoo. Let's move on to the Zoo of Cologne, where the sun bear are in this kind of more old bear grotto type area. Although I wouldn't call them that exactly. I feel like bear grotto has a very negative connotation to it. Well, these enclosures, in my opinion, are quite nice, especially since the sun bear have access to 2 of them. And the sun bear, maybe it's just the fact that sun bears aren't all that big. If there was like a polar bear or a grizzly bear in here, I wouldn't like it as much. But I think for the sun bear, it's mostly fine. They also have a lovely climbing frame here in the middle, as you can see. Something you might also notice is the dry mode. I definitely feel like this would have been a wet mode at some point, especially since there is something that looks like a pool over here in the front. The spectacled bear habitat, which you can see in the spectacled bear video, is very similar in layout, but they do have water in the mode still. So I'm not sure why that wasn't the case for the sun bear. Maybe it has something to do with welfare, or I'm not sure. But yeah, that's it for Cologne. We're gonna move on to the last zoo of the video already. This is Ouwehands Dierenpark. We just left the bear forest, that is the brown bear area of the zoo where they take in rescued brown bears. It's just huge habitat, it's really great. But right next to that is this sun bear habitat over here. And as you're walking along it, you already get a peek into it through the mesh. But the main viewing area comes a little bit later. It is this building that you can already see right there in the distance, which is the observation post. And from here you've got a huge glass viewing area into the enclosure. There's also tons of education around. You can see several skeletons of the sun bear, one sitting down and one standing up. And yeah, here you have a lovely view of the enclosure. You see some climbing frames, lots of trees. The trees are also made accessible through some logs, although the sun bears weren't really using that at all. More on that later. And yeah, there's some nice foliage around, and all the way to the right, we can have a small peek of the backstage of the sun bear. You don't really see much of it, but as you zoom into it, you do get to see kind of what that looks like, and there's even a second sun bear coming outside. Now, I mentioned that they weren't really using the tree at all. That's why the zoo built this additional climbing frame over there in the middle to give them just a little bit more enrichment and stuff to climb. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Ouwehands right there. So hope you enjoyed, hope you got some sun bear inspiration today, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye bye!